Hey, what is up guys? Welcome to my Fjorm speedrun guide for High Brunhilda trials. I'm going to go over requirements first, and then afterwards I'll explain what to do for the actual fight. Alright, so Fjorm is going to need 4 things. First, she must be equipped with the Void Lance that has High Brunhilda Bane. This is required because not only will this lance allow Fjorm to deal more damage to High Brunhilda with her attacks, but it also has full HP equal defense, which will help her survive the initial blast without her having to be equipped with the High Dragon Wyrmprints. Preferably, this lance should be max unbounded, but you can get away without it being maxed out as long as Fjorm meets the stat requirements, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later. The dragon has to be a max unbounded Leviathan. The reason is because Leviathan does the most damage among all the water dragons currently. If you use any other dragon besides Leviathan, then you'll end up with a slower run. For the Wyrmprints, there's 3 of them. There's Bridal Dragon, Tough Love, and Veiling Crown. From what I understand, the strongest Fjorm on the team should be running Tough Love and Veiling Crown, while the rest of the Fjorms are required to run Bridal Dragon with either Tough Love or Veiling Crown. Basically, for most of you guys, you'll probably end up running Bridal Dragon with Tough Love or Veiling Crown unless you have a super beefed up Fjorm. Now for stats, I'm going to be pretty bare bones with it. With all the required equipment on, Fjorm basically needs about 2,600 strength. If you have all the necessary equipment on and you have 2,600 strength, chances are you'll probably have enough HP for the fight as well. A little bit under 2,600 strength is fine, but 2,600 is the number you should be aiming for. There's tons of factors that goes into stats. You can level up your dojos, water altars, water facilities, water Dracolith, 50 node Fjorm if you have to, and speaking of mana nodes, Fjorm should have at least 45 nodes, but you can go the extra mile to 50 nodes if you need the extra stats. And then lastly, obviously max out the dragon and Wyrmprint levels. The weapon, like I said earlier, depending on Fjorm's stats, you might not need to max out the weapon. For example, my Fjorm has everything maxed out except for the weapon. The weapon is just a base lance, but since I have high level dojos and altars, she ended up with 2,565 strength, which is below the recommended value, but she's been doing fine for me in pub so far. Anyways, once you have all that set up, then you're all good to go. Now the battle is quite simple. In the beginning of the fight, you need to make sure that Fjorm is locked onto Brunhilda. You may already be locked onto Brunhilda from the get-go depending on your spawn position, but just to be safe, what I personally like to do is just run up a little bit to ensure that my Fjorm is locked on. Some other players like to roll instead. You can do whatever you want, just make sure that Fjorm is locked onto Brunhilda. Once she's locked on, do a few normal attacks and use Ice Mirror shortly afterwards. If you need to, you can use the initial blast as reference to correctly time your Ice Mirror. What I like to do is wait until the blast reaches about right here. After Fjorm lands with Ice Mirror, immediately use skill 1 to iframe the jump back, then soon afterwards transform into Leviathan. Now once you transform to Leviathan, you need to do 2 attacks followed by his skill to dodge Brunhilda's breath attack. And then from here on out, you need to perform Leviathan's optimal combo for maximum damage output, which is 2 taps into a dash. It's a bit tricky to do at first if you haven't done it before, but if you need practice, I recommend taking the time to practice doing it in Mackerel Gauntlet because it's very important that you learn how to do this. Anyways, if Brunhilda is still alive at this point, then you'll have to finish her off in human form by using normal attacks and skill 1s. I would say that you need to finish her off around the time when she starts doing Volcanic Blitz because most Fjorms that I see in pubs have the minimum HP, so they just end up dying to the volcanic drops. So definitely try your best to finish her before then. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the fight. It's quick and easy. If you guys have any questions about it, then go ahead and ask them in the comments. Here's a couple raw gameplay footage of the fight for you guys to watch. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.